One, welcome in, and I am streaming this right now on both YouTube and on Instagram, but this is actually a podcast episode that I'm doing. See, look, I got the headphones. I can prove it. I have my headphones right here, right? But I figured for the live video, I'm not going to do the headphones. If you're listening to this on the Losing It with John podcast, hey, welcome. You know what the deal is. I help people lose weight who are tired of going on diets. They're tired of trying to take things out of their life, take foods out of their diet and eat only approved foods and everything. And hey, I get it. Look, I used to teach people how to eat a low carb diet, and I still stand behind low carb as far as it helps you lose weight, but it only help you to keep that weight off if you are the kind of person who wants to eat that way, right? But what if you don't want to eat that way? Anyways, that's what this podcast is about, Losing It with John. So if you are wanting to subscribe, head over to losingitwithjohn.com/podcast or click the link in my bio here on Instagram or on Facebook or YouTube. There'll be a link below likely. And hey, start listening and let's chat. So why are we talking today on Instagram and doing a live call? Well, so a couple of days ago, a wonderful question came in from, and I'm sure I'm going to get her name wrong here. She's on Instagram, Sabathana. She asked this question here, okay? So if I'm totally disabled and not able to move a lot, how much food would I need to eat? Love your video and thank you for your outstanding knowledge. Okay, well, thank you very much, first of all, for, I'm just going to say Anna at the end. That's what it looks like at the end. Thank you, Anna, for that question and for the nice comment about me and my videos. Well, when it comes down to losing weight, okay, we have to remember that there's the basics of losing weight. Now, the overall, the top like 30,000 foot view of weight loss, all right, is this. It's two things. The first one is that it's mindset. It's how you think, how you feel, and that thinking and those feelings will lead to emotions and lead to a certain meaning that you apply to yourself. I am this. And when you are identifying yourself as this kind of person, guess what kinds of things you're going to be doing? The things you identify as, right? So if you identify yourself as, let's just say, an airline pilot, you're probably into the whole airline news kind of thing, flight news. You might have a subscription to Airline Magazine, right? Or if you're a race car driver, you probably have race car magazines. You probably watch race car documentaries, how to soup up your own car at home, right? Because you identify as that person. And if you identify as somebody who struggles with losing weight, if you identify as somebody who is fat, heavy, overweight, obese, choose the term that you want to choose for yourself. If you identify as one of those things, that is where the motions you will be in will be going. So the biggest part, that's like the 90% part. The 90% part is your mental state, how you think, how you feel, and those things are going to dictate what you do. Okay, that's the first one, your mental aspect. The other part is the physical. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, because she asked a specific question about the physical part. How much food would I need to eat? Now, I assume when she's saying that, she's meaning how much food would I need to eat to still be able to lose weight? I'm assuming that's the kind of question that she's asking there. So the physical part, this is the second part, is, well, what are you putting in your mouth? Now, that could be things like food quality, how nutritious is the food? It could be how many calories is the food, right? A Twix bar is going to contain a lot of calories for the amount of food that you're eating versus broccoli, which you can eat probably 5 times as much broccoli in weight as a Twix bar to get that same amount of calories. Does that make sense? So it's about food, what you put in your mouth, how much, how often, right? Things like that. All right. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I've made myself a nice little bullet list because I'm all about planning and being prepared. Okay. Being prepared for your day is going to help leaps and bounds over just simply having a list of, you can eat that food. You're not allowed to eat that food, right? Planning your day, planning how you're going to accomplish, how you're going to go through a complicated scenario during the day that happens. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's at home. Maybe it's when you're tired, whatever, you're stressed. How are you going to deal with that? Those plans are going to help you. Okay. So Anna, as I'm going to call you, I'm just going to call you Anna for short. Anna, how much food would I need to eat in order to continue to lose weight, even if I'm disabled or I can't really move around much? So I wrote a few notes, like I said, and I really, this is where a coaching session would come in much more handy than just answering something like that, because I really have to dig down a little deeper into understanding what is going on with you right now. Where are you at and what are you doing? So for example, what are you eating, right? I kind of need to know, well, are you like eating super healthy food? Are you eating low calorie food? Are you eating tons and tons of ice cream? And you're wondering, well, how much? That's gonna factor in a little bit. And then also, how much of the different foods are you eating? Are you eating like constantly, like all day long? You keep eating, or are you just like eating little bits here and there? Are you in a calorie surplus? Are you eating too much? So you're overeating and we need to dial it back a little bit. Or are you like if we were to talk together, would you be like, well, actually, John, I'm only eating, a cheese stick for breakfast. For lunch, I have a small salad. And for dinner, I eat a couple bites of chicken. I have some enchiladas. I eat half of an enchilada and that's all I eat for dinner. And I skip dessert altogether because I'm just trying to lose weight. So I'm not eating enough. That's something that like my mom has a little bit of a hard time with. It doesn't matter how much I try beating into her head. And I love you, Mom, if you're watching, but you know that when I ask you, Mom, how many calories are you eating every day? Okay. We don't have to count calories. First of all, let me just be clear. You don't have to count calories to lose weight, but we got to have some freaking idea of what we're doing, right? So I asked my mom, just tell me for a couple days, how many calories are you eating? I'm just curious. I just want to know about how much food are you eating? So she tracked it and she's like, well, it was about, I think it was like 500 calories one day and like 700 calories another day. I mean, the standard is around 2,000 calories a day. So do you think that your body is going to want to let you lose weight if you're not eating enough food like that? Like if you're barely eating anything? This is the little trick. This is the little mental thing that life and your body and biology plays on you. You just think, I just got to eat less. I got to eat less. I got to eat less to lose weight. So you keep dropping how much food you eat. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, if I drop any more food, I don't eat any more. If I don't eat any more food, guess what? I'm not eating any food. But why am I not losing weight? I'm eating a cheese stick, like 3 crackers for dinner, and that's it. And I'm not losing weight. What's going on? Well, your body's holding on to every freaking calorie that it can to just operate your organs, right? Breathing, body temperature, eye pressure, heart beating, what's your liver doing? Those things need calories. And it also takes calories, believe it or not. It takes a certain amount of effort for your body to actually lose weight. Your metabolism needs to be revving up and doing things to burn calories and all that. You think your body wants to burn calories and lose calories if you're eating a small amount of food that is barely keeping your heart pumping? No. So that's on kind of the other end of things. We would need to kind of figure out, are you doing that? Now, most people I help people who usually have a harder time. They're overeating. We're kind of on the other spectrum of things. They're overeating. They're eating too much, and they've tried going on like a diet. They've tried cutting back. They've tried low carb. They've tried different kinds of diets, and they just keep going back to their old habits. And when we go back to our old habits, what happens? We just gain all the weight back, right? And the problem is, like I've discussed before, if you lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, and you keep doing that, you're making it harder on yourself. You're making it harder on yourself because every time you regain weight, you're gaining new fat cells. And you're teaching your body that, well, there's a feast and famine coming. So next time around, maybe we'll just try to hold on to our weight because I know John's going to just stop eating food for a while. So I'm going to have to hold on to everything, right? And we don't want that. Okay, so let's kind of answer the best that I can then, based off of how much Anna has given me here. How much food would she need to eat? Okay, let's assume for a moment, I don't know where you are as far as not enough calories, the right amount. In other words, are you losing weight currently? Are you maintaining your weight with what you're currently eating? Or are you gaining weight with what you are currently eating? So what I would do, there's a couple ways to look at this. Okay. There's this one is just kind of the simple method to just, hey, give this one a try and let's just see if this works. It's kind of like what's a good word I'm looking for? Like a best guess kind of thing. Based on experience, here's something that you could try that will probably work. And if not, we can go back to kind of the little more, little harder thing, like the more writing down and taking more specific notes. So that would be, let's just say for a moment, you're currently either gaining weight with what you're eating, or you're kind of maintaining right where you're at. You're at, 220 pounds, 250 pounds, and you just kind of fluctuate 2-3 pounds, maybe 5 pounds every week, but you stay in that same basic, you're 250, 255, 245, and you kind of move around in that. So that's kind of the maintaining part, okay? Or you're gaining, one of those two. Then simply look for ways that you could maybe just cut back a little on, it doesn't have to necessarily be the volume of food, but volume of food would help. But it's more about how many calories are you consuming. Again, you don't have to count calories. You just have to be a little bit, intuitive about it, a little smart about it. You can look at some labels. I have some props here. So if you're listening on podcast, then you might want to check out my YouTube live that I'm doing here, or you could check out on Instagram. You can see what these are, but I'll read them off to what they are so you kind of know. So for example, let me pick one here. So I have Twix. Okay, this is a freaking big box of Twix. I have there's 36 Twix bars in this. So it's almost Halloween, and we give out the big candy bars. But we plan for, we buy a little bit over time, and then we got all the candy bars. But so let me look here. We have one pack, so that's 2 cookies, is 250 calories. Okay, so if you eat, how Twix has the 2 little sticks, right? So if you eat one of those, or if you eat 2 of those, 2 of the little sticks, that's 250 calories. So one simple thing is, you know what? If you're eating a Twix, don't eat the other one. You just cut it in half, right? Now you're just eating one. So now instead of eating 250 calories, you're eating 125 calories. Does that make sense? Just as simple as that. You just dial it back a little bit. And you can still have it so you're not depriving yourself. You're not saying, oh, I can't have that, because let's be honest. When we tell ourselves we can't have something, what is it that you want the most? It's the thing that you say you can't have. In fact, sorry, if I'm clearing my throat a little bit, I don't know why I just ate. I shouldn't have eaten before I came up here, so I got a lot of clearing my throat. Sorry about that. But but if you I lost my train of thought here. If you're wanting to cut back, you just kind of eat a little bit less of that. That's one of the things. Or here's something else that you can do. Okay, a little intuitively thinking about for a moment. All right. Let me find one here because I have a few little props that I want to look at, but now I got to look at how many calories are in the different props here. I got like a Lara bar. Do you guys like Lara bars by chance or anything? So you might find, like instead of, let's say, the Twix, okay, so 250 calories, that's for 2 cookies on there. And those 2 cookies, let's see here, serving size is the 2. Does it say how many grams that is? It's not saying how many grams that is. I wish it did. But as an example, okay, this is a no-cal bar, all right? So it's a protein bar, all right? No-cal. And no-cal, it's a protein bar that has a good amount of calories are derived from protein. Protein's going to help you feel satiated longer. And it's got 200 calories, okay? For the one bar, that's 200 calories. So that's about 50 calories less than that Twix bar has. Now, even though it's less, I'm willing to bet that this is 60 grams, this no-cal bar, and this box doesn't show for one package of Twix how many grams that is. So I'd have to open it up. I don't want to open it up because then that might encourage my kids to start reaching into it. When the box is closed, I know that it's before Halloween. Nobody's gotten any yet. You know what I mean? So I also have a Lara bar. All right. So the no-cal bar is the peanut butter chocolate chip that I'm looking at, in case you want to look it up online or something. And the Lara bar that I'm looking at is also the peanut butter chocolate chip. All right. And the Lara bar is 220 calories for the bar, but it only, let's see, it's 45 grams is the size of the Lara bar, where the no-cal bar is 60 grams for 200. So for 20 calories less and you get more food, the no-cal bar would beat out the Lara bar. Now, I like Lara bar because well, I do like Lara bar. I like the no-cal a little bit better, but the Lara bar is still okay in my house because we try to eat relatively healthy, you know. Just because we're eating healthy doesn't mean weight loss. That's a whole other topic. Eating healthy for other reasons. But the Lara bar has pretty clean ingredients, simple ingredients, so we like that. But also the no-cal, okay, so not only is it less calories and more food, it also has more protein in it. Now, protein's going to help you stay satiated longer. In other words, if I eat the Lara bar, I might still be hungry after I eat it. If I eat the no-cal bar, I might be a little bit more full because it had more protein in it. Does that make sense? It's helping us to eat maybe a little bit less. Another example might be if you just need to scale it back a little bit. Okay, you don't have to go hardcore at this. But if you're wanting to know how much food to eat, again, it's not always how much. How much depends on kind of what you're eating. Go back to my broccoli example versus a Twix bar, right? But if you like eating, let's say, a turkey sandwich, okay? Maybe you put mayonnaise and mustard on your turkey sandwich. So can you maybe just cut back on the mayonnaise? And instead of mayonnaise, you just do the mustard. That would save just a little bit, right? Or maybe you just do only maybe half the amount of mayonnaise or something. Or instead of mayonnaise, you use avocado. I love avocado. I do avocado toast all the time. So you can take the avocado and just smear it onto the toast and use that as kind of like your mayo to make it a little bit creamy. Or maybe you're eating tacos. And if you're eating tacos for dinner at night and you always put sour cream and you eat, let's say, 2 tacos and you put sour cream on both tacos, can you put sour cream on 1 taco? Can you do a little bit less? Just put a couple dabs so you get the taste of it, but you don't have to like smother it with a lot of sour cream. Or maybe, you know what, you could go with no sour cream and it's no big deal. Or maybe you could just do a little less sour cream and a little less cheese instead of like a ton of cheese. I like my cheese, that's for sure. But cheese is it can be pretty calorie dense, okay? It's a lot of fat that you're consuming, and not that it's bad for you or anything, unless you're dairy sensitive. But this is why people who do low carb diets, like they do keto or something, and they're like, I'm doing keto, I'm eating no carbs, and my weight is stalled out. Why is my weight stalled out? Could be a lot of reasons for that. One reason could be that they're over consuming the fat. Weight loss comes down to calories. I hate to have to say that or break that news to you if you hate thinking about calories for losing weight. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to count them to lose weight, but you have to be mindful of them. And people who do low carb, they're tracking something, and that's great. But sometimes they think losing weight is about the carbs, and it really isn't. It's about the calories. It's just that the low carb foods typically are lower calorie foods. That's why when you're on low carb, they're usually saying eat things like dark leafy greens, right? Eat certain vegetables. Don't eat the vegetables higher in carbohydrates. Well, those things that are higher in carbohydrates tend to be higher in calories. So it's really about the calories. And cheese is actually pretty calorie dense. But it's a good source of protein. I like Parmesan cheese. Parmesan cheese is a great protein source, but it's one of the higher calorie counts for cheeses when it comes to calories and cheese goes. Parmesan cheese is. All right. So how much food do I need to eat? This is what I'm answering here if you're just joining us. And I hope this is starting to make sense that it's not as simple as, well, you just got to eat, 500 grams of this much kind of food or 100 grams of protein per day. There are all the little tiny hacks and tricks and things that help. For example, protein. That's one of the things that is, look, this is a good thing to make use of. It's a tool that you can use for losing weight and better health. So as an example with the protein, when you eat more protein versus something that is carbs, even fat, but fat is filling too, but protein is a bit satiating. It helps to make you feel full faster so you don't eat as much food. And it can help with other ways too. Like it can help rev up your metabolism a little bit because protein takes a little bit of work for your body to break down versus something like simple sugar, which just gets absorbed immediately, like eating ice cream or something, or even bread. Bread breaks down pretty easy and gets used up into the bloodstream, and then whatever is not used as glucose, it gets stored as body fat. Whereas protein, your body is like, well, if there's no sugar and there's no other things in the body, then maybe I need to use protein for some energy use. But I really have a lot of other things that I would rather use protein for. This is what your body is saying. Your body is saying, I'd rather not use the protein for energy if possible. I'd rather use it to build some muscle, grow some hair, make my skin complexion look good. The collagen in my eyes, the collagen around my heart, the protein that kind of holds like encased around your organs and everything. Protein is super important for so many other things in your body that your body would rather use it for those things than to use it for storage of fat or even energy and all those kinds of things. And that's all those little things that, like, when you start looking at like how to lose weight, you'll hear all kinds of little things like that, all the little tips, and it all becomes overwhelming, doesn't it? If you're like me and you're trying to learn something new, you just kind of dive into it on the computer and you start looking all around and everything for what you could be doing. And so much information out there gets us what? Overwhelmed, doesn't it? And if you get overwhelmed, what happens? We tend to give up, right? We tend to say, forget it. I'll just try later. So we don't want to get overwhelmed. We want to keep weight loss simple. All right. Okay. So, the how much food here's now if that is not working, that's kind of the simple way. I know I explained it kind of long and maybe it sounded complicated. To put that succinctly, the simple way is to simply look at, okay, what am I doing now? Am I currently stabilized with my weight or am I gaining weight? And if that's the case, just dial it back a little bit less mayonnaise. Maybe you eat half of something. Maybe you just eat a little bit less food, or you improve the food in some kind of way. You add in more protein and you eat the protein first, and then you're a little bit more full. And then you can eat the bread or the ice cream or something like that. Okay. So how can you just dial it back a little bit as far as how many calories you're having? Now, if you try that and it's hard and it's not working or anything, maybe you're, I don't know, you keep trying and it's not working for you. Then here's what I would do. This will give you a little more data to work with. Okay. This one is a little bit more of the complicated route, but can kind of give you maybe a little more clear picture at what exactly is going on. So you know what you need to work on. And that is, you need to figure out, Anna, if this is where you're at right now, how much food do I need to eat? Perhaps first we need to figure out, well, about how many calories are you eating per week? And you can break it down per day, but then average it per week. When it comes to calories, we really want to move away from, well, it's not calculated like weight loss and calories. They're not calculated per day. You want to more calculate it like the per week. How did I do for the 7-day period? Was I in a calorie surplus or was I in a calorie deficit, or did I kind of maintain? So in case you're not familiar with what those three terms are, in a nutshell, if you're maintaining your weight, then let's just say, as an example, you're eating 2,000 calories a day and your body is burning 2,000 calories a day, your weight's going to stay the same. If you're eating 3,000 calories a day and your body is only burning, let's say 20, let me keep it up to 2,000. If you're eating 2,000 calories a day and your body is burning 2,200 calories, then you're in a calorie deficit, right? Or if your body is burning 2,000 calories and you're only eating 1,700 calories per day, you're in a calorie deficit. All right. A calorie surplus would be if your body is really only burning like 2,000 calories a day, but you're eating 2,500 calories a day, then you're in a calorie surplus. You're eating too much, so you're gaining too much. You're gaining weight. Your body's is going to start, it's not burning enough of those calories for you to lose the weight. You're storing those extra calories as fuel for later, which is stored as body fat. Okay. So what you can do is for like 2 weeks, Anna, what I would do is for 2 weeks, log kind of what you're eating and try to figure out about how much calories you're eating per day. All right. And then we average that kind of over the week. How much is it for the week? But in general, look at it per day. So I did that with my mom to figure out my mom wasn't eating enough food. She was only eating 500-600 calories a day. That's not enough. I mean, if you're a woman, the bare minimum, I would say, like if you're in the 1,200 calorie range, you're probably too low. You need to be above the 1,200. You should be in the 13s and above. I like to see you more in the, 1,600, 1,700 calories per day would be ideal. But when we're losing weight, we can kind of work with that. So what I would do is over the course of about 2 weeks, write down what you're eating and write down how many calories it is. So by the end of the day, you should have a little log of exactly how many calories you've eaten for the day. And do that for 2 weeks. Okay. Now, if you are maintaining your weight and you're staying the same, let's just say, we'll just figure it per day. Okay. So it's easy. Instead of per week, for the sake of making it simple, we'll just say per day. If per day you're eating, let's say 1,500 calories for the day. Okay. But your weight is staying the same, then you know that your maintenance weight and calories is 1,500 calories per day on average, right? Now, if you are gaining weight and you do that same thing, you log all the calories that you're consuming per day, and your calories per day is 1,500 calories per day, then you're eating too many calories. You got to eat a little bit less. And the same goes for what we just talked about there. If your maintenance calories was at 1,500, then what you would do is eat a little bit less. And if you eat a little bit less, you're going to lose a little bit of weight under normal circumstances. All right. And it's not about exercising. You don't need to do tons of exercise to lose weight. Weight loss is more about the food that you eat, not the exercise that you do. I'm not saying sit on the couch and do nothing all day. You should do a little bit of movement, absolutely. But the biggest bang for the buck is going to be the food that you're putting in your mouth and how often you're putting it in your mouth. Are you hungry or are you not hungry? So figure out kind of where you're at with calories. This is the little bit more like in-depth version of this. And there's calorie counters on there you can put on the phone, like MyFitnessPal. You can use that. There's calorie calculators just on websites have them. I mean, they're absolutely free, but you can just I think MyFitnessPal, you can actually take a picture of the food, and for a lot of the foods, it will automatically kind of fill in about how many calories you're consuming if you put about how much you're eating. But it's got a pretty intuitive calculator. But figure out how many calories am I eating per day? Am I gaining weight? Am I losing weight? Or am I staying the same? And based on that, you know to eat a little bit less. However, if you're eating like only 1,000 calories a day, you probably don't want to drop your calories more because you just don't have enough calories to drop. You don't have enough to work with. And if that's the case, you have to do something that is not really the most fun to do because you just want to start losing weight now, right? You don't want to gain weight. But the fact is that if you're not eating enough food, what you have to do is something called a reverse diet. It's where you actually have to go into a calorie surplus and you're going to gain some weight. And what you need to do is bump up how many calories you're eating per day until your metabolism catches up and you're up at, let's just say you bring it up to 2,000 calories a day. And then you just keep eating 2,000 calories a day. And you know what? Your body weight's going to start leveling out at 2,000 calories a day. And then when you're at 2,000, now we can start gently bringing it down. Okay. And then your body will start coming down. All right. So that's how you would basically handle that. Let me see in my notes here if I added anything more. And by the way, if you're live on the video, feel free to ask me any questions. So let's see, what do your new meals look like? I mentioned that. As far as movement goes, so something you said, Anna, is like, I'm totally disabled, not able to move a lot. So that means I'm assuming that means you can move some when you say you can't move a lot. So I'm not sure, how disabled are you? Are you, where you can't move at all? If you can go for a walk, that would be great, right? You don't have to go to a gym. Maybe just do some walking. If walking is out of the question, little things like, can you stand? Standing actually is going to kind of burn up a little bit more calories than sitting on the couch. So the more you stand, the little bit more calories you're going to burn. Can you cook dinner at night? So get up and make dinner instead of just ordering out all the time? Or can you get up and maybe help the person who's cooking dinner? Just help a little bit, just get the little bits of movement wherever you can. And if you can't get up because you're disabled and you're unable to stand or walk, you have to start asking yourself, well, what can I do maybe to get a little bit of movement in? That just might be fidgeting a little bit, okay? Fidgeting with things. So what is fidgeting with things? It's tapping your fingers on something. It's, just moving around a little bit, readjusting where you're at. It's like that nervous tick that some people might get, right? Tapping your foot. Or you're holding a pencil. Instead of just holding a pencil and just staying there, let me grab a pencil. Holding a pencil and you're just sitting there like this. Maybe you got the pencil and you're just kind of like tapping it somewhere. You're tapping it, or you're moving it, or you're moving it through your fingers a little bit. This is something called NEAT, N-E-A-T. And you can look it up. It's a little beyond the scope of what I want to talk about here. But it's something that I will definitely be talking a lot more about inside my program, Back to Basics, where I help people lose weight. So, if you want to get on the waiting list for that, when I'm accepting new students here really soon, go to losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist. Also, the link is in my bio on Instagram, losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist. And get on my wait list to be the first one notified about that. And I'll talk about, like on a live call or something, I'll talk about getting your NEAT in. The little bit of movements, the little tiny things add up to a lot. You don't think that just something like moving a pencil around is going to burn a ton of calories, do you? But over the course of the week, and think about over the course of a day, how many little movements do you make? The adjustment of your head, adjustment of where you're moving, putting your shirt on and off, putting a hat on and taking a hat off, standing up, sitting down. So this is all non-exercise movement, right? It's all non-exercise movement. Do the non-exercise movement. Now, really it's movement that's you're not thinking about. Like if you start thinking about it and you start doing the movement, that's kind of exercise. But you kind of mimic it a little bit. Just do a little bit extra. Oh, let me just move around just a little bit. You don't have to look crazy and everything like that. Don't have to go into, the grocery store and purposely, move all around and everything, right? Just do little bits of different things every now and then. All right. Okay. So that's a little thing that you can do, just little bits of movements. Question, how many calories per day should I expect to be losing then, or the deficit? Well, I would say a good calorie deficit would be somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 200 calories to 300 calories per day would be a decent deficit. On average, you average it over 7 days. So if we wanted to be technical, if we wanted to be a scientist at weight loss, I'm going to tell you what the perfect kind of way would be. Like if I could give you the spreadsheet way to do it and you were a robot and you just followed, then this is what you would do. But we all know we're not robots. So in that case, it's just one of those things you kind of keep in mind that, oh, this is kind of the way to do it. So maybe I can kind of mimic that, or maybe I messed up, but that's okay messing up. Maybe I ate too much. Well, that's okay because this little thing that John's about to tell me right now. And that is, if you're wanting to lose, let's say, I said a $200, $300 calorie deficit per day on average, really think about how life works when you're not thinking about losing weight, okay? So take me, for example, all right? One of the things that I try to help people do for weight loss when they join my program, okay, when they become a client of mine, I want them to simply become a normal eater. All right. So go from getting the whole diet mindset out of you. You got to go on a diet to lose weight. Let's get that out of you. Let's figure out how we can transform you from being someone who eats too much food and has an unhealthy relationship with food. So, you're stressed, bored, angry, tired, mindless eating, whatever it is. How do we deal with those thoughts and emotions and feelings and become more controlled and eat a proper amount of food based on the amount of movement that you do for the day? How do we do that? When you do that, you can lose all the weight that you want. So when you become a normal eater, okay, what that kind of looks like for most people, when I say normal eater, you have to realize that like people who are what I'm classifying as a normal eater for a moment, so be that as you may, whatever you want to define it as, for the moment, let's just define it as the person who is, they have the weight that they want and they don't think about losing weight anymore. They don't think about their weight. They just go about their day and they do their things. So they probably have days where they eat a little bit more. They have some days that they eat a little bit less. Maybe they go to work and they skip lunch. Maybe they have a big breakfast. The next day they don't have breakfast. Maybe they have a little bit of breakfast. One day they have, maybe it's a bagel. Maybe one day it's eggs. For dinner, one day it's chicken. The next day they do fast food. So in other words, it's not all planned and everything. It's all kind of moving around, right? So today they ate this many calories. The other day they ate a little bit less, and it's not planned. It's just kind of moving around. And that's why we say it's over the course of a week that we look at as far as like calories and everything like that, not just a per day. What I'm not doing at being a normal eater, okay, so we're looking at wanting to become a normal eater. What I'm not doing is sitting here saying, I got to be in a 300 calorie deficit every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's not what I'm doing. I have some days where maybe I eat 1,700 calories for the day. Some days I eat 16. Some days I eat 2,000. But they're all kind of in the general neighborhood, because I'm not eating way so much one day and then eating nothing the next day, and unless it's a planned fast that I'm doing. So you kind of want to mimic that. This is, again, the perfect spreadsheet kind of diet thing. If we were in a perfect world. So in a perfect world, maybe one day you're going to have a 200 calorie surplus. And then the next day you had a 200 calorie deficit. And then the next day you're right at like perfect maintaining at, whatever it is. If maintenance is 1,700 calories and you ate right at 1,700 calories. And then the next day, you ate in a calorie deficit of 400 calorie deficit. But then the next day you had a 200 calorie surplus. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of moving around a little bit. And this is kind of telling your body that, hey, everything is fine. I'm kind of just doing the normal thing that I do. John's not trying to stress me the heck out by limiting food, by constantly hitting a calorie deficit, is he? He's not doing that. What he's doing instead is he's just being normal. But over the course of the week, when you take the 7-day average, that would average out, if my maintenance was at 1,700 calories a day, it averaged out to, John was eating on average about, 1,550 or something, or 1,600 calories a day. It was just a very small calorie deficit that it averaged out to. And guess what? John's going to start losing weight. That would be the ideal way. Now, you don't have to go so deep into that. Like, you don't have to be so analytical about it. But what I'm saying is that when you're wondering, when somebody asks me the question, how many calories per day should I be in a calorie deficit? I would say, if I had to give you one answer, I personally like 200 to 300 calories. You could maybe go up to 500 calories per day. You don't want to go too much more than that, because then your body's going to start wondering what's going on, and it could start freezing up and locking up because it thinks that you're in starvation mode, that food is scarce, and we don't want that to happen. But when you're in a small calorie deficit, then you can start letting your body do what it needs to do to lose weight and not feel all stressed out. Okay. So how many pounds per week can I expect to lose and is healthy? Well, great question. I think that a good amount to think about is anywhere from a half a pound to 2 pounds per week is what you would probably want to be losing. I know it's not the super fast weight loss thing that a lot of us want, right? You want to lose weight really quick. We just want it done in 6 months. That's the world we live in today, right? The world we live in today is right now, this minute, and if you can't give it to me right this minute, then forget it. I'm going to find something else. Give me the pill. Give me the surgery, right? Those things are not long-term answers for you. Going on a diet is not a long-term answer for you. The long-term answer is, how do you become a normal, healthy eater around the foods you already like and enjoy eating and foods that are surrounding you in your household? Your spouse likes these certain foods. They're going to be in the house. My mom always tells me, your dad always buys cookies and the cookies are sitting in the pantry. I'm like, well, you need to, Mom, get used to having the cookies in the pantry then. And we need to figure out how to do that. And there's ways to do that. So on average, a half a pound to 2 pounds per week. Sometimes you won't lose any. Sometimes you might gain just a little bit. But remember, it's about getting to the destination. It's not about getting there tomorrow. If you try to cheat the system, if you try to cheat weight loss and just lose it all super fast, you might be able to do that. You might be able to go on to the Biggest Loser show and do that. You might be able to do these, whatever that thing is called, which I totally forget the name of it, where you do these shots and you eat like 500 calories of food every day or something. You might lose a ton of weight right up front, but you're going to screw up your metabolism doing it. And if you don't screw up your metabolism doing it, which I think you will, then you will not have built the habits to do what you need to do to maintain it forever. It's kind of like the person who wins the lottery. They win $1 million. But guess what? They don't learn how to become a millionaire. They just make the $1 million. And what happens? Most people who make $1 million in the lottery, they're right back to where they were within a year or two. And that's because they didn't learn the skills and the habits and the routines and the thinking process, the behaviors of a millionaire. They have the thinking, the behaviors, and the thoughts and the habits and the routines of somebody who makes, I don't know, $100,000 a year. So you're not going to be a millionaire. You're going to lose the money. It's going to go away. And that's the same thing with cheating weight loss. If you try to just do the surgery or take a pill or do some super fast cleanse diet thing or whatever it is, you didn't learn the lessons. You didn't go to school. You didn't do the work. You had somebody do the test for you, so to speak. And then you come out of school and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And you gain all the weight back. As soon as you stop doing the little cheat method that you're doing. Okay? If you do the cheat method, you best start learning the things that I'm teaching people and teaching you, and that is how to become a normal eater. Because if you don't learn how to become a normal eater, you're just going to go right back to what you were doing in the first place. So, Anna, I think I answered your question much more than just, how much food. Again, how much food would you need to eat to lose weight? I can't answer that really without knowing more information. But I hope that you found this video and this podcast helpful to you. I encourage you to listen to it again once or twice because you probably heard things, you probably have forgotten a lot of it. And I know I gave a lot of information there. To sum it up real quick, because we're like 50 minutes in just about, so I want to just kind of wrap this up, but I want to give you a nice little succinct summation, that's the word I was looking for, on this. The first one is, how much food would you need to eat if you can't really move very much? Well, it just depends. Are you gaining weight? Are you maintaining? Or are you losing weight? You got to figure that out first. If you're maintaining or gaining, then you just simply got to eat a little bit less calories. And you got to find a way to do that. Eat a little bit less food, or maybe you eat the same amount of food, but you just don't put all the stuff on. Maybe you don't do the mayonnaise, right? Or maybe when you go to McDonald's, instead of ordering the large size, order the medium size, order the small size. Instead of ordering a soda, get an iced tea. Instead of putting a bunch of sugar in your coffee, don't use sugar, or use something like stevia, which is a low calorie sweetener. I had a bunch of props here, which I didn't even show, which I'm going to talk about right now because I'm talking about that. So instead of eating something like Cheetos, eat something like pork rinds. Instead of eating something like a Twix bar, why don't you try eating something like a no-cal bar? Instead of drinking something, this is a little thing. We went to Starbucks today, and I hadn't had this in a long time. It's my wife's name, Lindsay, on there. It's I always say it wrong. Chocolate shaken almond milk espresso. It's something like that. It's one of those things. It is so sweet. You can see there's not much that I've had out of it. I took a couple drinks and I can't drink it. It's too sweet for me. That's another thing is over time, your taste changed and everything. Instead, regular coffee. I just drink regular coffee and I'm good with that. Maybe instead of the Twix bar, okay, maybe you could use some dark chocolate. This is 72% that I'm doing. Can you go higher? If you can go higher, great. 85%? That's a lot. But can you do maybe dark chocolate instead of the milk chocolate? Tends to be a little bit less in calories. Instead of the chocolate almond milk espresso, shaken, not stirred, maybe you could just do a protein shake that you make for yourself using like pea protein or whey protein. If you're watching this, I'm holding up, or I'm sorry, if you're on the podcast, I'm holding up a protein powder right now that you put in your little shaker bottle. And it was some I put it in there with almond milk. I do almond milk. I do the protein powder, 25 grams of protein. Tastes really good. It just tastes like a chocolate milk. There's different ones that are out there. I like the Garden of Life one, I think the best. That one's pretty good. I like whey protein, but if you want to do vegetarian, if you're sensitive to dairy and all those things, you're just trying to stay away from dairy, then do the pea protein one. So yeah, those are the props I bought. This is going to be one of your biggest weight loss tools when you're trying to figure out how much food to eat and you're wanting to eat a little bit less, right? A little less calories or something. Water. Drink lots of water. 64 ounces of water in general is what I would suggest, because sometimes your body is just looking for water. You're a little dehydrated. So it starts making cravings. Your body's looking for food. Look, make no doubt about it, okay? Your body is alive. I think you know that. And it's doing a lot of things that you're not thinking about. And it's always looking for how to survive. And if you're a little bit parched, if you're a little dehydrated, it's going to start upping the cravings on you. And it's going to say, look for water however you can get it. Look for it in a watermelon, right? Look for an apple. Look for it in this thing here, look for it in whatever, chocolate. It just starts revving up calories because food usually contains water. So drink lots of water. Don't get dehydrated. Water also helps to keep you kind of full a little bit longer. It expands your stomach, which sends hormones up to your brain, telling you that, hey, I'm not really hungry right now because my stomach is stretched. And when you do eat, if you've been drinking lots of water, you're probably not going to eat as much food because you got a freaking lot of water in you, right? Okay. So if, you would like to maybe learn a little bit more, work a little closer with me, then I have a course coming up that I am working on right now. It's called Back to Basics, because you just got to freaking go back to basics with weight loss. There's too overwhelming. Almost every single client I have ever had since 2019, I've been doing this. Every client, just about every client tells me that they're overwhelmed when they come to me, that they've learned so much. They know a lot, but guess what? The information is not translating into weight loss. Simply knowing the information, reading a book, watching the videos, all those things, it's not translating into actual doable action for weight loss. And a lot of times they're learning so much they get into overwhelm. Okay, look, if you're an overwhelmed, let me help you. I can help you. If you feel like you are overeating and you can't stop overeating, you're eating too much, and no matter what you do, what you try, you're going out to dinner with the friends, you come home at night after work and you're tired and you just say, screw it. I'm just going to eat whatever's in the pantry right now. I'm too tired to try and think to eat healthy or anything like that. If someone else is cooking for you, how are you supposed to lose weight when they're doing that? Then look, I'm your guy. I'm working on the program right now that you will be able to follow. And then I'm going to follow that up with a bunch of live calls to help you get through it. And if you would like to join me on that journey, because I've done this for myself, I've done it for other people, I've done it in different ways. I've taught people how to go on diets and lose weight. And then I watched them struggle a bit with keeping it off forever. And you know what? I've learned by looking at I had to go back to look, what the heck am I doing? Look, this is John's Daily Planner, okay? I have John's Daily Planner. I plan my days. And the better my plans are, the better I am at whatever it is I'm trying to do. So I looked back, what am I doing that makes me long-term success? And a big part of that is planning and understanding that it's not about the diet. It's about me just becoming a normal eater around food and not having all of these crazy thoughts and everything about going on either a diet or eat these foods, not these foods. And I gave myself a freaking eating disorder from doing those kinds of things. Let's knock that stuff off. Let's just get back to the basics. And the basics are eat a proper amount of food based on your activity level. And then don't mess it up with your thinking, with your behaviors, with your thoughts. Stop beating yourself up about everything. Let's be a little nicer. What would you tell a little kid if they're out there having a hard time learning how to do something? Would you tell them that they suck? They might as well give up? No, you give them some encouraging advice, right? But why don't we give ourselves that same encouraging advice? We don't. We tell ourselves, oh my God, I suck at losing weight. I just can't do it. Let's change that. Back to the basics. The basics. Become a normal eater. Like yourself. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. Encourage yourself. Motivate yourself. How do you be consistent with that? I can help you with that. And I'm going to be accepting about 20 students, and that's it. Okay, 20, maybe 25, we'll see. But like 20 students, and I'm going to just shut it down and close that because I want to make sure I can help you the most possible that I can. And if you think that you would like to work with me a little closer and get an actual plan and motion to moving in the right direction for the rest of your life and not have to go on a diet ever again, sign up for my wait list. Okay. Get on my wait list. Go to losingitwithjohn.com/wait list or go to my Instagram page which is john.hoff35, john.hoff35. And in the bio, there's the link right there. Click on that, get on the wait list, and I'll make sure that you're the first one notified because when I hit 20, 25 people, I'll be shutting that down. I might not even put it out to the public because if there's enough people who just reply back on the email list say, yeah, I'm in, let's do this, I'm not even going to make a social media post about it. Okay. So get on the wait list if you're interested. And with that, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend. It's Saturday right now. It's 2 p.m. We've been on for about an hour. And thank you so much. I will see you in the next call. Bye for now.